There is a quiet revolution happening inside the homes of America's wealthiest retirees right now. And most people have absolutely no idea it's going on. While millions of Americans are still spending the same way their parents spent, buying the same things their neighbors buy, following the same retirement rules written decades ago, a very specific group of people have completely changed their behavior. These are the retirees who actually kept their money. The ones who built real, lasting wealth and didn't let retirement eat it alive. And the fascinating thing is, the shift they made wasn't about earning more. It wasn't about some genius investment strategy or a lucky stock pick. It was about what they quietly, deliberately stopped buying. Not what they started doing. What they stopped. That distinction matters more than most people realize. Because in retirement, the game is no longer about building. It's about protecting. And every dollar you spend on the wrong thing is permanently gone. Not just for today, but for the next 20 or 30 years of your life. So if you're retired, approaching retirement, or watching your savings trying to figure out how to make them last, stay with me. Because what we're about to walk through could literally change how much money you have left when it matters most. And before we go any further, if you're new to Money Insight, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel exists for one reason, to give you the financial truth that protects your wealth and your retirement. Hit subscribe, hit like, and let's get into this. The first thing wealthy retirees quietly stopped buying is new cars on a regular replacement cycle. The average new car in America today costs just over $48,000. Finance it over 60 months at current interest rates, and you're looking at roughly $900 a month in payments. That's $9,600 a year. From a fixed pool of savings that is supposed to last 30 years. But here's where it gets worse. In retirement, every dollar you spend is a dollar no longer compounding. That $9,600 a year, if kept invested at a conservative 6% annually, becomes nearly $350,000 in lost wealth over a full retirement. From one car habit, one decision made every 5 years without questioning it, wealthy retirees stop doing this. They buy quality used vehicles 2 to 3 years old, pay cash, and drive them for 8 to 10 years. They eliminated the payment, eliminated the depreciation hit, and redirected that money back into their portfolio. One decision. 30 years. The difference between comfortable and struggling. The second thing wealthy retirees stopped buying is brand loyalty, specifically with insurance. Most Americans have had the same insurance company for years. And every single year, that company quietly raises the premium. A little here, a little there. Nothing dramatic enough to make you pick up the phone. That's intentional. Insurance companies have studied human behavior, and they know that inertia is their most profitable product. They call it the loyalty penalty. Loyal long-term customers pay between 15% and 25% more than new customers for identical coverage. That's documented industry behavior, not opinion. Let's say you're overpaying by just $900 a year. Over 20 years, compounded at 6%, that's nearly $35,000 in lost wealth. From insurance loyalty alone. Wealthy retirees shop aggressively every 1 to 2 years. They raise deductibles on vehicles they own outright. They eliminate coverage they no longer need. Every adjustment puts money back in their pocket. Most people never do this. They just pay the renewal and move on. And the insurance company quietly thanks them every single year. The third thing wealthy retirees stopped buying is financial products they don't fully understand. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The financial services industry makes enormous money selling complex products to retirees. Annuities with fees buried in fine print. Indexed universal life insurance dressed up as investment vehicles. Variable annuities with surrender charges lasting a decade. A variable annuity might carry a mortality and expense charge of 1.25%, an administrative fee of 0.15%, and fund expense ratios averaging another 1%. That's over 2.4% in annual costs. On a $300,000 investment, that's $7,200 every single year. Quietly, silently, automatically extracted. Whether the market goes up or down, over 20 years. The difference between paying 2.4% in fees versus owning a simple low-cost index fund at 0.04% on a $300,000 portfolio creates a wealth gap of over $200,000, not from bad luck, not from a crash, from fees most people never even notice because they're percentages, not dollar amounts on a bill. Wealthy retirees learn to ask one simple question: what does this cost me, in actual dollars, every single year? When the answer was vague or buried in a 60-page prospectus, they walked away. Simple is powerful in retirement. Now I want to tell you a real-world scenario that illustrates exactly why all of this matters. Meet a hypothetical couple. Frank and Carol retired with $820,000 saved. Frank had a pension of $1,800 a month. Carol had Social Security at $1,400, over $3,200 a month in guaranteed income before touching investments. Most people would say they're fine. But Frank and Carol brought their spending habits into retirement without questioning them. A newer car every 5 years. A vacation home used 6 weeks per year, costing $14,000 annually in taxes, insurance, and upkeep. Subscriptions they forgot they had. Eating out 4 or 5 times a week. Together, their non-essential monthly spending added up to $2,800 a month, $33,600 per year. Coming straight out of their portfolio. 9 years in, Frank had a health scare. Carol needed knee surgery. Medical bills piled up. Suddenly, they were drawing $60,000 a year from their portfolio. Their advisor showed them the math. At that pace, they would deplete their entire portfolio within 11 years. The vacation home got sold. The cars got downsized. Subscriptions got cut. But because they waited until a crisis forced the change, they had already spent down to $180,000 in principal. Money that, if kept invested, would have compounded to over $500,000 by the time they truly needed it. The lesson isn't that Frank and Carol were irresponsible. They worked hard their whole lives. The lesson is that habits carried into retirement without examination have a compound cost, and that cost doesn't care about your intentions. The fourth thing wealthy retirees stopped buying is unnecessary real estate obligations. Property taxes in states like New Jersey and Illinois on a $400,000 home can exceed $9,000 per year. Add homeowners insurance, which has skyrocketed since 2022, and baseline maintenance costs of roughly 1% of home value annually. And you're looking at $15,000 to $23,000 per year just to stay in the house. Before utilities, before HOA fees, before appliance replacements, many wealthy retirees looked at this number clearly, sold the large family home, downsized, moved to a no-income tax state like Florida, Texas, or Tennessee, and freed up to $100,000 to $400,000 in equity to invest. The tax savings alone between retiring in New York versus Florida can exceed $15,000 to $25,000 per year. Over 20 years, that's $300,000 to $500,000, not from a market strategy, from a zip code decision. Millions of American retirees are house rich and cash poor. They have a beautiful home, and they're skipping medications to afford it. Wealthy retirees looked at that equation and made a different choice. The fifth thing wealthy retirees stopped buying is the approval of others. Status spending. Purchasing things not out of need or genuine joy, but for what they signal to other people, is one of the most expensive habits a human being can carry. Studies on consumer behavior consistently find that Americans over 60 spend between 18% and 22% of discretionary income on status signaling purchases. On a $60,000 retirement budget with $30,000 in discretionary spending, that's up to $6,600 per year. Over 20 years, compounded at 6%, the lost opportunity value climbs toward $120,000, $220,000. Spent on what other people think, the wealthy retirees made a psychological shift most people never make. They stopped spending to impress and started spending to experience. Research on retirement happiness is consistent. It's not the people who spent the most who report the highest satisfaction. It's the people who spend most intentionally. Experiences, travel, time with family, learning, deliver lasting satisfaction. Status objects deliver a brief spike and then fade, sometimes within days. And then you're looking for the next purchase. This is how you can spend a lot of money in retirement and still feel quietly poor. The sixth thing wealthy retirees stopped buying is financial advice that isn't delivering proportional value. A standard 1% annual management fee on a $500,000 portfolio is $5,000 per year. On a $1 million portfolio, that's $10,000 every year. The question you must honestly answer is, what am I actually getting for that money? Is it comprehensive tax planning, Social Security optimization, healthcare cost projections, and behavioral coaching? Or is it quarterly statements to phone calls a year and a portfolio that mirrors an index fund costing $50 annually? Good comprehensive advice absolutely justifies its fee. But when the service is essentially portfolio management, with high internal fund costs and minimal planning, the wealthy retirees recognized they were paying twice for something that wasn't outperforming the market anyway. They shifted toward fee-only fiduciary advisors who charge a flat fee for a comprehensive plan. Get the value. Eliminate the excess. Don't pay 1% per year, compounding against you for 20 years when it isn't. The seventh and final thing wealthy retirees stopped buying is the most expensive item on this entire list. They stopped buying the belief that there is time to figure this all out later. Every year of delay has a compounding price tag. The car payment you'll deal with next year becomes a decade of $108,000 in payments. The 2.4% annuity fee you meant to review becomes 15 years of silent extraction. The house in the high-tax state becomes a health crisis that forces the sale under duress, at a worse price when you're least equipped to manage it. Retiree who makes one better financial decision per year and redirects just $400 per month back into a modest 5% investment will accumulate over $160,000 in additional wealth over 20 years. From one decision per year. $400 a month. That is not lottery money. That is just deciding not to wait. The wealthy retirees stopped waiting. And that decision, more than any stock pick or investment strategy, is what separated the ones who thrived from the ones who ran out. Here's the final truth. Retirement is not a finish line. It's a 30-year financial decision made every single month. Every dollar you protect today compounds toward a more secure tomorrow. Every spending habit you examine and eliminate if it's costing you more than it gives you is an act of caring for your future self. The wealthy retirees figured this out. And they didn't wait for a crisis to force the change. You don't have to wait either. Now tell me, which of these 7 hit closest to home for you? Is there a spending habit from your working years you've carried into retirement without examining? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. If this video added value, share it with someone approaching retirement who needs to hear this. Hit the like button and subscribe to Money Insight because the right information at the right time changes everything. We'll see you in the next one. *.